What,
Here, talk
Tom?
about cards.
What? Where are we? Where are
Right,
we?
you start the recording.
Yeah.
Any very nice, very nice, very nice.
Thank you,
Hey guys,
thank
I'm
you.
Tom.
And I'm Kyle, and this is Gaslight Upkeep, baby.
Let's restart. Let's restart.
No,
Let's start from the
Tom,
beginning.
Tom, Tom. We can't
No,
live
no,
in the past. Keep moving forward, okay? And I think you should tell me why we're here today, what we're going to be talking about. What?
give you a hint. It involves prehistoric reptiles, and it also involves a movie that's been around since 1993, and that is Jurassic Park. That's right, folks. We are here. We're live. We're talking about the new Jurassic Park cards. Are you ready?
Yes, sir. Let's get it going. All right, so we're going to be doing a tier list today with the 20 cards that are in Jurassic World edition of Lost Caverns of Ixalan.
Well, to start off, we thought it just makes sense. We're going to start with the lower price cards and move our way up and see if it, I guess, in this sense, matches the pricing of, all the other cards in comparison. But right now, we're going to start off with Henry Wu, InGen Geneticist. It is a swamp, green, and blue soul tie colors, legendary creature, human scientist. Wu, InGen Geneticist, and other human creatures you control have exploit. So when the human enters the battlefield, it has the ability to sacrifice the creature. Whenever you can, whatever creature that I control exploits a non-human creature, draw a card. And if the exploited creature had power 3 or greater, create a treasure token. So, couple important mechanics that we're seeing here. One is the exploit, going right into the sacrifice. But in terms of having this card as like a commander, it does have the ability to you draw cards, and it does have the potential to even get you a treasure token. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, if this is going to be in a human creature centric commander deck, absolutely. We talked about this the other day, even, and you did make a fair point. The fact that it has to be a power 3 or greater to get a treasure token, you're not going to have a lot of those out there if you're just making human 1/1 tokens. What are,
Yeah, no, you're definitely not. But I think the main part of this is the fact that you're going to be at least drawing cards as long as you get that exploit ability out. And there are some cards that are out there that are humans that also help produce, non-human creatures. For example, Jadar, that is a human wizard, black creature, and at the end of your end step, you're going to create a decayed zombie. Right there, you have two synergies going on immediately. Hopefully, you have some type of other creature that you can sacrifice that is a non-human when Jadar comes out. Let's say turn one, you're going to play Shambling Ghast. Turn two, you're going to play Jadar. And then by that time, when you have turn three coming out, you're going to have Henry Wu. You're pretty much going to be set to some more human creatures that will help in that aristocrat style gameplay. Be able to play those human creatures, sacrifice those zombies, ghouls, whatever they are that you currently have on your battlefield just to get that extra card draw. Very rarely I do see you going to be, drawing that treasure unless it's couldn't even think of a card right now at the moment that might be worth sacrificing free power.
all right. So what are we gonna give it then? I'm gonna go with a D. I would never use this as a commander.
I don't think it's at least worth saying it's a the moment, but I'll give it a low C. So high D, low C seems like a good spot. We can definitely go in the lower range and give it the high D, and then hopefully, I don't know, maybe we'll find cards in between or before. See, see how it plays out. All right, Kyle, what do we have for our next card?
We've got Ellie and Allen, paleontologist. It's gonna be two generic, green, white, and blue. It's a human scientist, 2 and 5 for the toughness, 2 for the power. It's got an ability where you tap it, exile a creature card from your graveyard, discover X, where X is the mana value of the exiled card. Activate only as a sorcery. This card, the discover ability is incredible, especially if you are forcing yourself to discard. You made a valid point to me yesterday when we were talking about it. The fact that you can discard a strong creature, let's say just 6, and then you can discover, and now you have the chance to pull out another 6 mana value or less through 6 card draw, and then put it back into the bottom of your library. You're going to be shuffling through your deck very often to get what you need to win the game. What do you think?
I think this is pretty funny. 5 mana creature, chance that if you play your mana ramps right, go to it, you could get this out by turn 3 easily. Would be the goal. Turn 1, play a ramp card. Turn 2, play another ramp card. By turn 3, you're gonna at least be able to get it out. So that way, by turn 4, hopefully you'll be able to discard some of those really heavy mana cards that you currently have in your hand, and be able to exile them immediately and start discovering your deck at that point. And if you exile, a mana 7, mana 8 card, EMC cost, we're seeing potential huge drop that could come down on the field. Um, and one thing to note is the cycling cards, and also your channel cards. Like, for example, Greater Takanuki, that's from the Kamigawa set. Those channel cards, when you channel, you're going to have to discard it, and then you gain an effect. The higher mana cost cards can go right into your graveyard. You still get some type of effect from them. Now you can exile it and then start discovering.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give it an A.
Um, this one is pretty interesting. It is a 2/5. I mean, I don't want to overshoot my shot, but you want to give this an A as well. I think this could be really fun and potential, able to play with both your graveyard and also higher mana cost creatures.
I think, maybe I'm a little bit more biased because the players that I normally play against are control decks, and they're always just trying to make me put things in the graveyard, kill things, destroy things. And if I can use that to my advantage by having Ellie and Alan out and protect it as well, 100%. Where are
Give it
you?
the A.
Give it the A for now. All right. Next up, what do we got over there, Tom? I love the artwork on this card.
Resting, and excuse me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Mosasaurus or Mosasaurus. It is a 6 blue creature dinosaur. Has the emerge cost being 6 and a blue. Basically, with that, you'll be able to sacrifice the creature and pay the emerge cost, which is reduced by that creature's mana value. So, a little bit of a sacrificing synergy right there. And with that, when Cresting Mosasaurus enters the battlefield, if you cast it, return each non-dinosaur creature to its owner's hand. Wow, what a card! And it's also a 4/8, just to throw that in there as well.
I
Kyle, let's. What are your thoughts?
I love this card. The emerge cost is great because you're basically getting a devastating tide for that cost. For cheaper, I'm getting a 4/8. I'm getting as well as that returning each non-dinosaur creature to its owner's hands. So devastating tide plus a creature for one more mana than or two more mana than what it normally costs for devastating tide. Correct?
Yeah, and you know what's pretty cool is the fact that one, you return each non-dinosaur creature. So if you're playing a dinosaur tribal deck, you're actually looking to pretty much keep all your creatures on the battlefield and all your opponent's creatures off the battlefield. But another fun thing that you can do with this deck is play it in a blink deck, just as you were saying, where if you have those creatures that are non-dinosaurs, but you want them to ETB multiple times, guess what? Now you have a card that can come out as a creature, return the creatures you have that you want to enter the battlefield again for, like, let's say for example, Lauren of the Third Path, or that creature when it enters, it's going to destroy an artifact or enchantment. You need another one to get rid of. That would be a perfect, type of synergy where you get to return that Lauren back to your hand, get it on the battlefield, destroy another artifact or enchantment. So it does have a lot of good synergies, especially with that emerge cost being a reduced cost. I think that's a little low, man. I think that's a little low. I think this definitely deserves an A. I'm almost half tempted to say an S, just because if you're rocking out any of that dinosaur tribal, this is an S.
Yeah, but
This is
that's so.
absolute S.
Yeah, but like I'm talking about in commander format in general.
Yeah, this is an S because now you get to return all your opponent's creatures to their hand, and then you can pretty much keep your dinosaurs on the battlefield. It's one of those board wipes where it's very lopsided.
We've got up next is gonna be Grim Gigantosaurus. It is 5 generic, green black. It is a 10/10 dinosaur. It's got 10 generic, green black, monstrosity 10. This ability costs one less to cast to activate for each creature with power 4 or greater your opponent's control. If this creature isn't monstrous, put 10 plus 1 counters on it, and it becomes monstrous. Jeez. And there's even
Well,
more
what
than
happens when
this.
it becomes monstrous?
I know. I'm just shell shocked by reading that. When Grim Gigantosaurus becomes monstrous, destroy all artifacts and creatures other than Grim Gigantosaurus. What a board wipe plus a beefy boy for 7.
True, it is 7, and you have to remember the monstrosity 10 is a 12 mana cost without any reduced mana based on power 4 or greater creatures your opponent control. Now, if you're going up against a bunch of Timmy decks or big creature decks, in your pod, yeah, this is easily a good one to add to your dinosaur deck. Even just green black in general, I think this has a good option just because you have the ability to ramp right into it, and you're also making a big ass creature. You're wiping the board except the dinosaur itself.
Yeah, all artifacts and creatures. And I mean, now
Yep.
correct me if I'm wrong. If this creature isn't monstrous, put 10 plus 1 counters on it, and it becomes monstrous. You know, it becomes a 20/20 when you.
Yeah.
And if I'm using green black and I'm using a ramp deck, there's a decent possibility that I can do that.
You're going to be able to ramp into it. There's a good chance in a commander format, and with green black, you'll be able to one not only hold your opponent at bay, but two also be able to defend your board, depending on the type of creatures you have defending your board state. I think
Hmm.
I think the biggest issue is the fact that this card does not have trample.
So I think that knocks it down to. I was gonna give it a B, maybe give it a C.
I think this at least deserves a B because be able to get trample on this thing through many different ways. It is a 10/10 at 7 mana still. Ridiculous. And not only that, but it has the ability to wipe, even though it is pricey, still think it is a B card, to say the least, because that you can destroy all artifacts and creatures. Oh, the other big thing that I think makes it a B versus a C is the fact that you can do that monstrosity 10 at instant speed. So
Oh,
wherever you
that's
might need that
right.
situation, say people start playing their creatures out, not thinking about Grim Gigantosaurus being on the battlefield. Somebody plays that creature that you don't want on there, and you have the mana available, just destroy everything. Or by your turn, you can destroy everything. It's all weird, but destroying everything by your turn, guess what? Have an open battlefield to swing your 2020 fucking dinosaur.
That's a lot going on. We've got the next card up.
I'm looking at Spitting Dilophosaurus, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Whenever Spitting Dilophosaurus enters the battlefield or attacks, put a -1/-1 counter of up to one target creature. Creatures your opponents control with -1/-1 on them block. We got some neg1 counter synergies here, and this would be actually pretty funny to put in my Yawgmoth
Braids.
deck.
Yep, yep.
No, Yawgmoth, yeah. Yawgmoth as
Yep,
commander,
even
getting those 1/1.
worse.
Yep, now the creatures can't block, and yeah, which is awesome.
Maybe my Atroxa deck would be fun too. Just sort of my proliferate deck.
Mean, yeah, because you're going to be putting -1/-1 counters on different things when it enters the battlefield and attacks. So you're gonna be able to get some of that neg1 counter synergy going on. Sometimes even a proliferate type deck works pretty well in this too, because now you're proliferating neg1 counters on your opponent's creatures. So
I could see that
it has
being
some
fun.
type of synergies in that as well too.
I'm giving this an
But in my
S.
opinion, I mean, I wouldn't go that far. It is a 3 mana 3/2 creature, and it's not like it's destroying a creature immediately. It can shut down the blocking ability on one creature at most. You know, in a Yawgmoth deck, this is an S, but in most cases, I really do see this being more of like a B, card to have.
All right, so it's gonna be a C or a B.
I'm giving it a B. I think it's less than the Grim Gigantosaurus.
All right. Good thing I'm gonna be cutting all of that out. I
What do we have? What do we have, Kyle?
swooping, swooping pteranodon. It's flying haste, 3 generic, and it is Boros color, so red white. It's a 3/3 dinosaur. Whenever swooping pteranodon or another dinosaur with flying enters the battlefield under your control, gain control of target creature and opponent controls until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains flying and haste until end of turn. At the beginning of the next end step, target land deals 3 damage to that creature. What?
Yo, this is absolutely a banger.
It, at the beginning of the next end step, target land deals 3 damage to that creature. What does that even mean? Just gonna burn you?
So, hold on. Let's break it down. First off, we just have a 3/3 flying haste creature at 5 mana. A little expensive, but it does have flying haste. That's not terrible. Now, whenever it or another dinosaur with flying enters the battlefield under your control, gain control of target creature and opponent controls until end of turn. You get to untap it. It gains flying and haste until end of turn. And at the beginning of the next end step, I don't know why it says target land deals 3 damage to that creature. That's
Why?
very, very weird. You could just say it's dealt 3 damage. But yeah, I don't know why. You tell me, Kyle.
I just,
Um,
it's wild, but I mean, so I could basically be sacking it at the end of the turn if it's a 3/3.
you know what? I can see this. This would be funny in a Pantlaza deck, where you have those Discover triggers. Yeah, Pantlaza out right now. You play Swooping Pterodon next to be able to discover 5 when it enters the battlefield. So not only do you get to cascade into a 5 mana cost or less, but you also be able to gain control of an opponent's creature. It could be any creature, something stupidly good. And then with that, you're going to also, I don't know, just attack with it, and then the target land deals 3 damage to that creature. What?
That's a
I,
great
I,
card.
it's Yeah. Honestly, probably one of the best options I do see this in is maybe possibly some type of weird divide sacrifice. Has some type of sacrifice in it. Has a little bit of blink synergy. I don't know. I'm trying to think of some of the Savai cards that might, or not Savai, excuse me, Mardu. Some of the Mardu commanders that exist out there, like not Ishin, but I'm thinking of something else. Exodus, Awaken the Blood Avatar be a fun one to put it in. The would make sense in this type of deck.
So where are we going to put swooping pteranodon? What are we thinking? I'm giving it a C.
Um, this has a lot of like turnaround in a duel. I'm gonna give it a B. Exodus, uh, the Exodus Oracle Overlord would be the other good one that kind of have this deck in.
We've got Life Finds a Way. Whenever a non-token creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, populate. It is 2 generic, 1 green. It is an enchantment. Yeah, it's in Miram. Yeah, tokens. So Miram is a good example. Morofin, Indoraptor is another good one. It's got a lot of synergy going on there, and it's meant for token decks.
With your deck, the one thing you got to be careful of is the text that says a non-token creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, populate. So what does that mean? It means that in your normal tokens deck, there's a good chance that you're not really getting that trigger to pop off because a lot of your creatures that you are going to have are probably less than power. So you have to make sure that when you do, play this type of card, you're going to want to have one creatures that are going to be power 4 or greater, and 2 tokens. So first thing that comes to mind in my head, what's a token synergy for creatures power 4 and greater? Dragons. Dragons are probably one of the bigger ones because you'll be able to make those, 4/4 dragon tokens, and then whenever a dragon's going to come on the battlefield, you get to copy those tokens. Then, in that sense, that makes total sense. But if you're going throw it in like let's say your Jetmir deck, are more than half your creatures are less than power 4. Right or am I wrong?
Oh my god, it would not work well in my Jetmir deck, that's for sure.
Yes. If you ask me, this is a very low C. I'd almost give it a D, just because just don't populate does not work well with the condition that it offers, being power 4 or greater.
I'm
You'd
not
rather just
putting
play the
this in
power
my
4 or
deck.
greater creature.
Hell, I mean, I'd rather go up 1 mana and play Power Low Lives. I'm not gonna use this.
You'd rather just have a token doubler instead. It does work with Dino slash Dragon synergies, big creature synergies that might have tokens also on the battlefield. Kind of like Titan of Industry when it has the multiple ETB, whether you're creating a 4/4 creature or also being able to do the shield counter or destroy artifact or enchantment when it enters. I mean, at least with that type of card, you're seeing a 7/7 creature coming on the battlefield, you'll be able to get to populate. I see that type of synergy right there immediately.
Yeah, I like it. This card is solid D.
Next card, it is Don't Please Move. So Don't Move is a 3 mana, 2 white. Destroy all tapped creatures until your next turn. Whenever a creature becomes tapped, destroy it. This card in a commander format. Oh, wow.
I love it because it's destroy all tapped creatures until your next turn. Whenever a creature becomes tapped, destroy it. That just slows them down for 1 turn, 1 cycle, as opposed to other board wipes out there.
Yeah, but those creatures will be tapped
Yeah,
by your
afterwards.
turn.
I know. I'm
So you can
just
destroy them all. All your creatures are untapped. Just pillow fort. No reason to attack.
true.
Okay, here's a couple of different scenarios I see right now.
Mm.
Here's prime example of scenario 1. You play a deck that involves goading creatures. Let's say you goad all creatures, except for you. But you goad all your opponent's stuff. Now all your opponents are going to be attacking with their creatures. Not only are they going to be attacking, they're going to be tapped unless they have vigilance. Now by the time it's your turn, you can play this card and destroy everything. Here's another scenario. Let's say you're playing Hilda. Hilda is a deck or a commander deck where you're looking to tap your opponent's stuff. This is stupid in Hilda because not only will you be able to destroy all the tapped creatures that are currently tapped, your creatures are untapped, but after casting this card, till your next turn, you will have the ability to tap your opponent's creatures, Hilda, because that's your whole synergy on the deck. You get to destroy everything that's coming onto the battlefield as a creature when you get to tap those creatures as a Hilda player.
Wow. Then I can also see,
So this
if you have Verity Circle out there, you're going to be able to start drawing a bunch from it. Verity Circle is an enchantment. Whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared as an attacker, I may draw a card. If you're using Hilda as a part of that.
Yeah, and all those Hilda decks don't want to tap creatures. This is so much better than your normal board wipe where you're just destroying all your creatures or destroying all creatures. You're destroying all the tapped creatures. Chances are those tapped creatures are the ones that love to attack, and they're probably the ones that have been taking your life away multiple times. Guess what? They're gone.
So we're putting that up in the S tier. That's what
I
I'm
would I
hearing.
would definitely give it an S tier. This is definitely an S. It's one of those ones where it's like you're swinging the whole game in your favor.
We have Ian Malcolm, Chaotician. It is
The
one.
Jeff Goldblum card.
I can't believe he's on a card. I love it so much. I love that
I am jealous.
he's a human scientist 2/2. Whenever a player draws their second card each turn, that player exiles the top card of their library. During each player's turn, that player may cast a spell from among those cards they don't own exiled. With Ian Malcolm, Chaotician, and mana of any type can be spent to cast it. Wow. You're gonna cause so much chaos on this field. Everyone is gonna hate you.
It's a chaos deck.
Yeah,
It's funny.
any type of is it Infinite combos is going to be in this deck. One of the newer cards that I'm seeing from the Doctor Who set is Memory Worm. It's an alien worm creature, 1/1 paradox. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, Memory Worm deals 2 damage to target player. That player discards a card, then draws a card. Put a 1/1 counter on Memory Worm. Imagine you're doing that 3 times. It's like a turn cycle.
There's different things that you can do to just make this deck really fun. It also really plays into those people that have those crazy cards that you don't want other people to take. This is where you can like start having a good time with it and just you, you can have really crappy cards in your deck. That way your opponents can really not want to play those cards, honestly, because the cards that you want to play, and then your opponent has cards that they don't want to play. Because last thing your opponent wants to play themselves is, I don't know, some crappy burn spell that is not that great.
See, I could see this as a burn draw deck. Like just basically making people draw their cards out, burning them for every time they draw their cards out, exiling their cards whenever they exile, burning them. It's just, and you're dealing it to all 3 opponents too. It doesn't seem like it's a target. It says each player draws cards, each player's end step. You're going to be able to burn them pretty fast if they don't kill you
Are
off.
you burning them?
So Fevered Visions is one of them. It is one generic. It is a colors enchantment. At the beginning of each player's end step, that player draws a card. If that player is your opponent and has 4 or more cards in hand, Fevered Vision deals 2 damage to him or her. Then you've got Vision Skeins, which is each player draws 2 cards. Then you have Ian Malcolm. Let's see, where's the other one? Then I even told you about the Memory Worm, where it was deals 2 damage to target player if they cast anything other than their hands. So that's now 4 damage per casted spell and or end step, almost. And then you have, burn doublers and even triplers out there. No?
Yeah. Windfall wheel decks are absolutely hilarious where you're making your opponent's discard draw new hands. All those cards that just end up getting drawn are going to go right into basically a middle pile for everyone to play with when it's their turn. Who knows what's going to happen? Obviously, I think the best way to play this is Ian Malcolm, Chaotician, is out on the battlefield. Don't do anything. Players do draw their second cards. That's up to them on their turn. But by the time it's about to be your turn again, if you could on your end step, quick wheel, make everyone discard their hand, and then everyone draw their new hand. Time it's your turn, you're gonna have a selection of 3 different opponents that did a wheel, and you'll be able to have your pick of the litter to cast any of those cards by the time it's your turn. Silly.
That is silly. So what are we gonna give it?
I think this is an S.
All right. Give it an
I think this is
S.
an absolute S. It could be an A, but I think they were just like, yep, this card's just fun. Let's just do it.
I like it.
Kyle, what's the next card that we are currently looking at?
We've got Compy Swarm today. Compy Swarm is one generic, and then it is black green, 2/2 dinosaur. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, create a tap token that's a copy of Compy Swarm. I like this a lot because my first thoughts about it is just it's a sacrifice edition of Skew Swarm, in a sense. Like, I get it, it's 1 per turn, so it's not as effective as Skew Swarm, but I like it a lot. I don't really play with a lot of sack decks, but I like this. It makes me kind of want to make a green black deck. What are your thoughts?
Not bad. It's not great. Yeah, kind of like you said, it's very comparable to like Scoot Swarm, but Scoot Swarm has a better ability. Where this is, at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, create a tapped token. So you're only going to be making 1 token per turn. That's that's okay, and it does have the thing where it's if a creature, so it's not just your creatures; it can be your opponent's creatures as well. You do have the ability to kill your opponent's creatures on their turn, and then be able to create another compy swarm. The issue that I do have is that it comes in tap, which is kind of lame.
Yep, I do see that. And it's damn. And I'm
Yeah,
just trying to think like Myco Tyrant. I could see this being in.
Myco Tyrant for sure. It can definitely be in Henry Wu, Indian Geneticist, and that type of deck. Schmeagle as well. Goes. It can go great with Schmeagle. The Schmeagle does have those aristocrat synergies. If a creature died under your control this turn, the ring tempts you, and then whenever the ring tempts you, you'll be able to reveal a land from your opponent's library. But for the most part, is it's like, do you feel like this is going to be something that you should like absolutely put in your deck? I don't think so, to be honest. I think there's better cards than this one.
It would have to be an aristocrat style deck for me to see this want to be used.
It's okay. I just don't think it's amazing.
So we'll give it a B, low B,
Oh,
B
I'm
minus.
giving this is a D for me.
Really?
3 mana. It's only a 2/2. If a creature died this turn, you're creating a tapped token, so that's even worse. Like, what's the point of creating tap tokens? Because next turn, or by the time you create those tap tokens, you're still able to get swung on because those tokens are not going to be ready to block.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I see this in Corvold using this for Corvold to attack, and then if you wait 2 turns, you've got 4. You wait 3 turns, you've got 8. So now, if you have other aristocratic style sacking abilities or cards to start drawing your deck, this is your easy card draw dork.
I just don't really see it to be that great. I mean,
I'm gonna go.
sure, why not? Let's say you have some type of creature or something that can sacrifice things at instant speed, like Yawgmoth or Ashnod's Altar or Phyrexian Altar. And then, yeah, let's say you also have an Ophiomancer. I I could see this deck a little bit more synergies going on. I think there's better cards that you can put in place in this.
Yeah. So
Because
I
in a sense, it's 3 mana 2/2, and then if a creature dies, you're creating might be able to create a tap creature token. That's okay. That's nothing amazing.
yeah. So I'm gonna give it behind Henry Wu for you, but I'm giving it a C. Throwing it on the lowest C's because I would actually buy this. Doesn't sound.
Well, D for me. This card sucks
All right, Tom. What do we got next up? Oh, I love this card. I got this card out of the box.
right
It's
now.
permission denied.
Ooh, yeah, what a card. I do like that card. think I think this is a pretty good card. Really not much else to it. Kind of reminds me a little bit like Jovin's Veto,
So what card is it,
right?
Tom?
That's the counter card. I already knew what card you were talking about. Said it. Only thing is that it doesn't have the split second command or mechanic, and it doesn't have like can't be countered like text on it. So in a weird way, even though you do cast this instant speed, where you counter a non-creature spell. Let's say your opponents can't cast non-creature spells this turn. However, before this card resolves, you'll have the ability. Guess what? Play instant need to. So you can technically counter this card. In a sense, Jovin's Veto might be better. But if you can get this card, let's say to stop some type of sorcery, and then after that, your opponent, whoever's turn you ended up casting this on, any other sorcery speeds, they're not going to be able to cast later on. So it's not as good as a Dovo. I still think it's right up there. For the price, I don't think it's that worth it, but it's still decent. I'd give it a B,
I mean,
a high B.
I love it. I love this card. It's got Samuel L. Jackson. Come on.
I mean, I'll give it. I'll give
Come
it.
on.
You're motherfucker.
Yeah. I'm so sick and tired of these motherfucking dinosaurs and this
Put me at
motherfucking
a
park.
B, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. We're giving it an A just for style. Like, I'll put it behind the Mosasaurus though.
Okay, I can get behind that. I can get behind
Just
that. I
on
can
the freaking card itself. Just like that's such an iconic moment in the Jurassic Park series, the first one. Like when the virus and everything gets shut off and now they're screwed. Like this This is just amazing. 10 out of 10 for the artwork. I give it an 8 out of 10 for the card itself. I would love it to be more. If it wasn't just non-creature spell, I would love this. This would be S tier. But I mean, how is it not pretty much the same? Oh, I guess Dovin's veto is that this spell can't be countered. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so we got it an A. We got next card coming up. We got blue. Blue Loyal Raptor. It
Very
is a
nice. All right.
legendary dinosaur. 2 generic, green and blue, 5/4. It's got partner with Owen Grady Raptor Trainer. When this creature enters the battlefield, target player may put Owen into their hand from their library, then shuffle. For each kind of counter on blue, Loyal Raptor, each other dinosaur you control enters the battlefield with a counter of that kind on it. Now, card's gorgeous. I love it. If I did a partner deck, I would be doing blue and Owen out of this set and I would be making this an ability style deck. What would you do?
Yeah, you're definitely not going to be running like proliferate because what's the point of having 2 trample counters on a creature, right?
Mhm.
For the flavor that you do have here, absolutely awesome. I love it. The as far as getting far into gameplay, lacks a lot of things. It lacks card draw. It lacks, ramp. It it's a very weird. It's a very just weird like commander just to have in general. If you ask me, I personally like type of deck to not have this as a commander. That have rounding. I don't know. Maybe a different type of commander that might be able to work with it. It's I don't know. I just feel like it's a little too clunky, and you're not really going to win any games with this type of deck.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at as a partner with Owen Brady, and it's partner with Blue Loyal Raptor. You can tap it, put your choice of menace, trample, reach, or haste counter on target dinosaur. Activate only as a sorcery. I'm gonna be able to. Let's say I have Owen Brady as the main one, and Blue is my sidekick. I pull out Owen Grady, put it on the field, or actually, I'm gonna keep Blue as my main guy because when it enters the battlefield, I get to go search my library for Owen. Or do I just keep Owen in the command zone as well as Blue?
I think you're better off having Owen in your command zone because you can get Owen out turn 2. You get Owen out, you're gonna have Blue Loyal Raptor in your hand. The time you get to your next turn, you'll be able to play Blue Loyal Raptor turn 3. You'll be able to put a choice of your counter on it, and probably the choice that you would choose is going to be Haste. You can start swinging in with your 5/4. Now, where do you go from there? And when I try to go for your Dino Tribal synergy,
Yeah,
way all your creatures when they do come onto the battlefield get haste.
yeah,
You're
that's
all
what it is basically. Is you pumping up Blue to then pump up every other creature when they come in, so that you can just be swinging big. You put Cresting Mosasaurus, put Hunting Velociraptor, Earthshaker, Dreadmaw. You're gonna be able to come in with haste, menace, and trample. Well, Earthshaker, and then you got Galta. That's gonna have trample already, but then you'll be giving them haste as well, and then potentially menace, which they can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. So you're destroying the battlefield. Again, I agree with you. It's definitely not something that I'm going to be building a deck around just because it doesn't have a fast enough mechanic with the players that we play against. But I think it's fun. I think it's fun. I give it a solid C.
I think it could be fun, but just like good chance that you could just easily see those cards get destroyed, and then you're just like, well, I use those 2 cards. I don't have any card draw, and
Well,
I don't have any ramp,
your
and
Borborygamos
you're
has
gonna
those colors. What do you do to protect Borborygamos from getting destroyed easily?
Borborygamos destroys creatures and
No,
draws card when it
and
enters the battlefield.
I'm just going off of the color combination because it's red, green, blue. Now, how do you protect Borborygamos when it's not destroying creatures? You've got counter spells. You've got protection. You throw heroic intervention.
Heroic.
I knew as soon as I was about to start trying to search it, I remembered it. Yeah, let's throw heroic intervention out. You're keeping it. Again, yes, it's limited, but I give it a solid C. Are you gonna throw it in the D pile as well?
Yeah.
All right. Since
I just
I
don't. I don't think this card's good at all. I think it's very subpar. You had Arwen, Mortal Queen, in my opinion, is a better card than this Owen Grady card. Why? Because at least Arwen can give indestructible counters to other creatures. Also be able to put +1/+1 and lifelink on those as well. 1,000 times better than Owen Grady and blue.
we segmented into Owen Grady Raptor Trainer then because we've been talking about it, partnered up with Blue, and that's the next card. So just gonna throw it
Yep.
on up here. So I think we are gonna put it in the D pile as well, right next to Blue, Loyal Raptor, since they are partners. And we don't have to really go too
Yep.
much further into it. You made very valid points. I'm gonna put it in front of Blue just because it's three now.
Mhm.
All right. So since we got that one out of the way already, next up we have Dino DNA. Dino DNA is an artifact, one generic. It has imprint one. Tap it, exile target creature card from a graveyard. Wow, nice. Activate only as a sorcery. Tap 6 generic. Create a token that's a copy of target creature card exiled with Dino DNA. Except it's a 6/6 green dinosaur creature with trample. Only activate as a
You're,
sorcery.
just a little correction. You're not tapping and then 6. You're
Well,
just paying
yes.
6.
Yeah, sorry. You're just paying 6 for the creating a token that's a copy of target creature card exiled with Dino DNA. Except it's a 6/6 green dinosaur creature with trample. Activate only as a sorcery. I don't love the activate only as a sorcery spell. I love the ability though.
I don't even think you need to do mm, a it doesn't have to go in a dino deck. Don't get me wrong, you can have it in there for the flavor. You see this in a couple different decks though. One that can exploit infinite mana, probably the best way to go about it. Is being able to get the infinite mana, be able to create infinite amount of 6/6s, whatever creature that you end up doing. Only thing is that you want to make sure that it's not a legendary creature. I really do see this card being really good in those different types of reanimator type decks, right? And that's where this card can definitely shine. And then within those reanimator type decks, if you have some type of way, I shouldn't say exploit, but exploit the infinite mana, able to make infinite tokens, depending on what creature you end up putting into, your graveyard. And if that creature just happens to be a Titan of Industry, well, you're going to be able to go crazy with it.
So I'm thinking an A.
I give it an A. It's almost honestly, I give it an S. It synergizes pretty well with Ellie and Alan.
Tom, what do we have next?
Next card that we do have is Indoraptor, the Perfect Hybrid. It is a one generic, but Golgari. So you have your Jund colors right there. And legendary creature, Dinosaur Mutant. Bloodthirst X. This creature enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters, where X is the damage dealt to your opponent this turn. It has Menace, and then with that, it also have Enrage. Whenever it's dealt damage, choose an opponent at random. Indoraptor deals damage equal to its power player unless they sacrifice a non-token creature. Very interesting one, at least. I really do think this card has some drawbacks, and the biggest back, it comes down to one. Now you do have the Bloodthirst, and I think that's very important and very key. And I think you need to at least deal 2 damage for this card to really make sense. That way you can buff this creature up to a 5/3. And now we can utilize that Enrage ability, which is going to be pretty huge. And then that's where I think where the money is with this card.
Yeah, the Enrage is really good. Now, I wanted to put this in my Ziatora deck, but unfortunately, because doesn't have Flash, it wouldn't work out because that's what I was thinking. But my Ziatora at the end step, you sacrifice a creature and then you deal damage to target player.
With this type of deck, you're going to want to get some early, quick, high-powered creatures in. 1 mana, have like a 2/1 creature, and you're trying to get another creature out, or your first turn you're trying to just ramp up to get this creature out. I don't know. There's really too many different types of synergies I see going on here. But I think the best way to go about this is, turn 1, get that 2/1 creature out. Turn 2, you get some other creature that'll have like be a 2/2, a 3/2, whatever. And then turn 3, you get this creature out after your 2 creatures do some damage. If you can get 4 or 5 damage on turn 3 and get this creature out, I think this card could be pretty solid. Now you can start messing around with the enrage ability. Different cards that are out there that'll help with the enrage ability. I know there's that 2 mana, I forget the exact name. It dinosaur a creature enters the battlefield, it gets dealt 2 damage, so it procs the enrage triggers as well. Fight spells are probably also going to be huge in this. That way you're fighting creatures, getting some damage dealt to it. Way you'll be able to deal out additional damage unless they decide to sacrifice something.
Yeah, I could see this in like
Actually, not token.
I could see this in Marika Brutal Gladiator in the 99. It could work out with because of the fact that with the enrage and then on top of Marika's ability, whenever it deals excess damage this turn, that creature's controller sacrifices a non-creature, non-permanent. So you're gonna be burning stuff, well, destroying stuff as well as using that enrage ability. So you're gonna get a double whammy, Sammy. That's the only other thing I could see this with, but that's about it. I give it a solid C.
I don't know, man. I'll give it a C.
Yeah, you're being really tough on these cards.
Well, when you seem to they're tough, compete against, right?
Yeah, that is true. There's a lot going on. Next up, we got Indominus Rex Alpha. It is 1 Demir and 2 green mana. Legendary Dinosaur Mutant. It's a 6/6. As Indominus Rex Alpha enters the battlefield, discard any number of creature cards. It enters with a flying counter on it. If a card discarded this way has flying, the same is true for first strike, double strike, as well as Death Touch, Hexproof, Haste, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each counter on. I like this card for an abilities deck. Like, this is actually for an abilities deck. This is kind of like Audric. What do you think?
No, it's better than the Owen Grady Blue Raptor combo, right? Because at least here you'll be able to get this thing to have its reach trample by discarding some cards. In a Soul Tide type deck, being able to discard some of those cards, you can be some type of reanimator. I think it's pretty cool that, let's say you have some pretty crazy cards that have indestructible, hexproof, like probably those are probably the 2 biggest ones to have, and then along with that, double strike trample. If you have creature cards that are like that, in your hand and you discard them, it really buffs this creature up because now you have a 6/6 with, let's say, hexproof and double strike. What? That's pretty cool.
Venom Throat, which is from the 40k Warhammer edition. Like, it's 1 generic blue and green. It's a 2/2, and it's got flying, death touch, and hexproof. So you have that. You just discard it. Indominus Rex is coming in with flying, death touch, and hexproof. Plus, it's a 6/6. Plus, you're drawing 3 cards because it's got 3 counters.
Yeah, no, it definitely does have that. You can pair this also with a questing beast that
Yep.
has 3 different things: vigilance, death touch, haste.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, you're looking for those cards that just have those multiple um, words that are on the card.
I would play
It's
this. I would
it
make
could be
this
it could
my
be very
commander.
powerful.
I like this card a lot.
Um,
For an abilities deck, I would 100% make this my command.
and I think probably the cool thing about this is that you'll be able to draw cards for each counter that's on it. So if you end up getting like 4 or 5 counters on it, you're drawing.
So you're incentivized to
I almost
discard.
want to give this an S tier.
I'm down with the S because this card it slaps. It's so much better than Audric because it has the card draw ability. And it's
Yep.
a 6/6. So
It
it can
has card
actually
draw.
it can fucking save itself. We're giving
And
this
then
an
you throw
S.
like some type of reanimator in here. Let's say you throw Breach of the Multiverse as well. Really good card with this, and it, it it's good. You also have the blue and black colors in there. You do have Black Blink, which is basically the revive thing, animate thing. You
Yeah.
also have blue, which can also help blink the card as well. If you have certain cards in your hand that you want to discard, you'll be able to blink this again however you want to do that, and then be able to discard the cards, get the keyword on there, draw some more. That's pretty
Exactly.
cool.
Exactly. So absolute S tier went up there. It's our top. It's either our top or our second top as of right now. I would say top card, but don't move is pretty nice. What do we got up next?
We do have is Savage Order, two two generic, two green sorcery spell. As an additional cost of the spell, sacrifice a creature with power four or greater. Search your library for a dino, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. It gains indestructible until the next turn. That's good. That's good.
Oh yeah, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. So let's say I'm doing Morofin just so that I can have all cards, all colors in my dinosaur deck. I'm gonna be getting Indominus Rex Alpha out from this. And all I have to do is sacrifice something that's 4 or greater. Now I can also beef up a creature to be 4 or greater to then utilize this for. I love this
Yep.
because it gains
Yeah. No.
indestructible.
Yeah. And this card does synergize really well with dinosaurs because your chances are you're going to find a dinosaur that's going to have power four or greater, and then might that creature might come out as like a 3 mana 4 mana cost, and then going from there, just sacrifice it, get rid of it. Like let's say good example would probably be a Topiary Stomper that comes out as a 4/4 mana ramp creature. Sacrifice that, and then you can get the Kama out. It's nuts. Or better yet, Dishath Sun Avatar.
Yep.
Either way, it's getting an indestructible account, so it's gonna stay for 1 turn.
I'd be throwing Italia out or even Grim Gigantosaurus. No, even just
How about the
Galta.
new Galta?
Yep, the new
New
Galta for
Galta.
sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's even better. New Galta, maybe Gishath, Sun's Avatar. Think I think all those cards are absolutely good dinosaur, or for Savage Order within the dinosaur synergy.
So we're giving this an S. It sounds like.
I would give it
I'm saying
um
A.
S. No, it's an S. It's an S. It's an S.
All right.
The only thing that kills me is the additional clause where it has to sacrifice a creature power four or greater.
Mm.
I feel like you're going to be able to get that. You're going to get that power four or greater creature. There's many dinosaurs that you'll be able to sacrifice that are cheap. You can do that with.
Yep. All right. So we put that up in the S. Next up, we got Welcome to Jurassic Park. So, Welcome to is a saga. It's 1 generic, 2 green mana. And it is, as the saga enters, and after your draw step, add a lore counter. Saga 1 is going to be for each opponent. Up to 1 target non-creature artifact they control becomes a 0 fall 4 wall artifact creature with defender for as long as you control this saga. Saga 2 is create a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token with trample. It gains haste till end of turn. Saga 3, destroy all walls. Exile this saga, then return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. Now it turns into Jurassic Park, Legendary Land. Each dinosaur card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana value cost plus exile 3 other cards from your graveyard. You may cast cards from your graveyard for their escape costs. And then you get to tap it, add 1 green mana for each dinosaur you control. Holy hell, this card is a stud. Absolute stud.
I mean,
It,
just that first saga thing, I think, or that first chapter is just absolutely silly. You're turning everyone's soul ring, mock card, the mana crypts. They're all gonna be 0/4 walls, which I think is hilarious. And then chapter 3, you're destroying them all.
yep.
That's so funny. I mean, great, you get a 3/3 dino, but just the fact that you get to mess with your opponent stuff, awesome.
Oh yeah.
And then last but not least, that backside is just a game changer. Dinosaur card in your graveyard has escape.
Yeah.
When was Green Reanimator?
It is today. I mean, you got
It is.
Indominus Rex. So it
Yeah, but
looks.
that actually has like the black and blue like colors. This is just green, and this is a green card that says each dinosaur in your graveyard has escape.
Yep. So
What?
I'm putting that right next to Indominus Rex. That's getting an S.
Yeah, we have way too many fucking S cards, but
Well,
I think there's a reason why.
absolutely. I mean, we're getting down to the last most expensive cards. Of course, they're going to be much more likely to get to the S tier than our, $2 cards. So
True.
it's kind of hard not to put them at a higher level than the others. We've got
Yeah.
though,
Are you gonna throw in your backside also up there?
I guess so. Right there, right next to it. Tom, what is it going to be?
Well, we have Ravenous Tyrannosaurus, generic red green creature dinosaur, Devour 3. As this creature enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. This creature enters the battlefield with 3 times that many +1/+1 counters for each of those creatures. And then, whenever Ravenous Tyrannosaurus Rex attacks, it deals damage equal to its power to one target creature. Excess damage is dealt to that controller instead.
Oh my
I think
God.
it could be fun. Yeah.
This is going to be great in an Indoraptor deck. This is going to be great. I mean, just in Tribal Dinosaur, it needs to be in it. The Devour 3. Yeah. If I get rid of, if I sacrifice 3, token dorks, Compy Swarms, if I do that, I now get what, nine freaking 1/1 counters on it?
If you sacrifice 3, yeah, you get 9 +1/+1 counters on
Yeah, if I'm just sacking
it.
3 tokens that are 1/1s.
Yeah. I think the important text here is excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller instead.
Yeah,
So you have the ability to, whenever this thing attacks, is to move through that card
it's
where the
better than
excess
Trample.
damage is getting. Well, I think trample is better, in my opinion. Because it could just say trample and then it has that, right? But the fact that it does have that is pretty nice. You're going to be at least destroying one target creature, kind of like ram through,
Yeah.
and then be able to, have that excess damage dealt. So in a weird way, this card is like a ram through, but on a big ass creature. Oh, is this amazing? I don't think this is an S tier.
Nah, I'd give it a
I really
B.
don't. I would definitely give it a B. I think it's a little bit overpriced, in my opinion. But this is more of a B card
It's
in
got
my
to be
opinion.
because more so of the artwork on it. I mean, look at it. It's got the another iconic moment when the T-Rex is plowing through in Jurassic Park 1. He's going after the family, and it's that iconic scene where he breaks all the skeletons around it.
Yep, I do remember that one specifically. It's only I guess you pay for the flavor, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. The artwork is amazing. All right, we're on to our last one, and I mean it's Hunting Velociraptor. We throw it up right here. It is a dinosaur, 2 generic, 1 red, 3/2, first strike creature. Dinosaur spells you cast have prowl. Two generic, 1 red. You may cast a spell for its prowl cost if you dealt damage to a player this turn with a creature with any of its creature types. What? So you're telling me I'm turning my
Broken.
dinosaurs? I'm getting to play them
Three
for
mana creatures.
mana?
Yeah,
Uh,
this is more broken than any of those like mana reducers
we
that
could
exist.
we can talk about this, but I'm just putting that at the top S tier class. We don't even have to. I don't think we're gonna have an argument around that either. Because what the fuck? This card,
Yeah, that ramp is too good. You're gonna see this in every dinosaur deck that has the color red in it.
every dinosaur deck. If this isn't in your dinosaur deck, then you're not winning as fast as everybody else that has this.
Yeah. The one thing I do hope for, if I ever go against some type of dinosaur deck, I hope some idiot plays Rotting Raptor, where it's like whenever a creature enters the battlefield, deals 2 damage to itself, and some idiot just plays this. I just hope that happens because
Yeah,
this card's broken.
keep dreaming, bud. Keep
Yeah,
on
no one's
dreaming.
that stupid. I
Yeah.
hope you are though.
And I love the caption. Clever girl. That
Yeah.
moment when he says that in Jurassic World. Oh, that's so great. And I don't want to say it's like 3/4 into the movie. That's where that scene is. That's great. It's so funny. I see this. I see the pictures, and like I can remember those exact moments, but you asked me about the series in the beginning of this, and I'm like, I'm just giving you the plot. So funny how it works. But that's going to be it today. Tom, you have any closing thoughts? Because I got none. We went through everything.
Yeah, there's some huge bangers in here that are worth it, but there are some expensive. I don't really technically see the the play. I don't see it being very competitive in in a casual format, right? I just see some of these more expensive cards getting absolutely rolled over. But with a lot of the different cards that are out here, some of the even cheaper ones really tend to be actually ended up being really good. Like what's that? Cresting Mosasaurus. That card I think is absolutely crazy. And Ellie and Alan Paleontologist. I think that card is absolutely nuts. I think you could do so much with that.
I
There's
love
a
it.
lot of what's up?
I said I love it. I love it.
Yeah, there's a lot of good cards in here. I do love it. That's pretty much it. Kyle, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, so guys, thank you for watching. If you made it through this far through the video and you made it to the end, this is our first tier list. We're going to keep on rolling for each new set that comes out. We think this is going to be good so we can still keep in touch with the future sets that are coming out, as well as keeping it to the roots of our past sets. We will be coming out with some of our other episodes soon in clips, and then hopefully by start of the new year, really having a schedule to post videos weekly. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the future, and as always, stay lit, my friends, and keep gaslighting everyone.